combat philosophy. I need to have a solid understanding of combat philosophy, because I can't just okay, hold on. Don't think faster than you're talking. It's a log. It's okay. You can slow down. I don't want I want to be able to show characterization in the way that the character you play as fights. And since the first character that's going to be implemented is basically me, I need to understand my own combat philosophy. So I just watched a really, really good video breaking down a character's combat styles and combat philosophy and combat mindset, basically, and how that interacts with their character overall. And there are a few things mentioned that I think are really powerful. Basically, initiative, engagement style, de-escalation style or method, as well as combat mindset and goals during combat, right? So in a video game, right, there's going to be a natural amount of combat's going to be where the most of the fun is at, probably. And there's going to be a natural amount of player interaction that increases the amount of combat that is necessary, obviously. But in terms of characterization, you can show characterization in how a character responds to combat that the player initiates, and you can show characterization in what kinds of situations in the story does the character think that combat is necessary for, right? So that obviously extends the question, what kinds of situations do I think that combat would be necessary for? Number one, when I see no other option, when I see no other viable solution to the situation, whether that be, and usually that comes as a result of everything else, all other forms of communication having been tried already, whether it be in that situation or in the past with the parties involved, right? So if you are dealing with somebody and you've tried to, and there have been multiple story beats where your character tries to talk it out, character tries to negotiate, character tries to perhaps even talk while fighting, and all of that kind of doesn't work. They're not open to dialogue, they're not open to exchanging ideas until they can come to a solution. It's okay, well, I guess we have to exchange blows then. So that's situation one. Situation two, protecting people who did nothing to initiate combat, or who at least as far as the character knows, have not like uh, initiated any kind of like transgression or crime to warrant combative action, right? Just basically like protecting innocence is the kind of general idea here. Um, but in those scenarios, it's like it's not vicious fighting. Whereas in the first scenario, it's like, look, if there's no other options, then like it's going to be vicious fighting until the point of I have the power to like basically until I have the kill unlock, right? And then it's like and then from there it's like, oh shit. People can, I think it's easy to fall into a trap here of being like, oh, character fights until they have the kill unlock, and then they give the second chance or whatever, chance for the turnaround, chance for, you know, the face turn, right, as opposed to the heel turn, and then that opens up the window for betrayal. It's easy to make that stupid, right? So what it would really be is like fight viciously until you have the opportunity for the kill. And then it's like, okay, if I don't already know how you act when you are defanged and provided an opportunity for a better outcome, I find out in this moment with vigilance. Okay, it's not like I'm about to just let my guard down, right? If I already know that when given the opportunity for a second chance, you will waste that opportunity, especially if it's happened 2 times. If it happens once, there's a chance that it might happen again. But if it's happened 2 times, there won't be a third. Even if like if it happens 2 times, that's like my thing. And maybe there will be other characters who feel differently about it. There probably will be other characters who feel differently about it. But as far as the character that represents me is concerned, it's like if you are offered the ability to turn over a new leaf once and you turn it down and betray the trust, that's already not a good sign for you, and you might not make it past the next time you might not make it past the next time you lose a fight with me. You see what I'm saying? But if you do make it past the next time you lose a fight with me, and like at best, at the absolute best outcome for you is like I'm on your ass now. I'm on your ass, and I'm ready to drop you at any given moment. It's like you're in the crosshairs until you can prove that you foundationally as a person are different than the one who betrayed the trust the first time. And like basically you're on parole, and the cost of violating parole is death, right? It doesn't happen a third time, right? If it happens a third time, that would be my downfall, right? And maybe like early on in the story, or maybe just like rarely in the story, it'll be a situation where I have a reason to let it happen a third time. And it gets me hurt or largely threatened or whatever, right? I could totally see a kind of thing where it's like, I could totally see a kind of thing where it's like, I let someone slide too many times and I get hurt, and then I don't let them slide more than twice. And then later on in the story, there's a certain situation where I feel like I should let them slide the third time, and then one of my allies just comes and finishes the job for me because they're like, no, dude. You know your own principles. You know what you said you would do, and you remember what happened last time. I'm not going to let it happen to you again. And like, maybe me and that ally didn't have a conflict about it, but like, that's not a conflict that my character would win. Like, they got me. You see what I'm saying? As far as like intensity goes, like how intense, like if I'm gonna do something like Infamous inspired, then it could be like karmic in a sense, like good path, bad path. Like I could have intensity tied to that, but I don't think I really want to do that. And that feels like way more ambitious. That feels like too much ambition. It feels like too much ambition. I'm not gonna lie to you. Scope creep. Feels like scope creep. Not too much ambition, but scope creep. But that is a potential idea. But generally speaking, it's like I would rather disable than kill if I can. I would rather, like, the goal is to end the conflict, not destroy my opponent. You see what I'm saying? Especially not if, like, my opponent is just like low level grunts that are taking orders from a bigger or a higher ranking whatever, right? It's like, obviously there's a system at play there. There's a, you know what I mean? There's something bigger than the individuals that I'm fighting, and that is the target. If I'm gonna destroy anything, it needs to be that. You see what I'm saying? So what kinds of things? So generally speaking, like, I think generally speaking, my character would want to avoid combat where possible. But I think also my character wouldn't necessarily be like, my character for sure would be able to find enjoyment in combat. It's just like, due to the nature of combat, due to the dangerous nature of it, due to the fact that it's easy for the stakes to get real high, right? Like, my character might not necessarily want to pursue combat regularly. You see what I'm saying? If I can solve it some other way, if I can solve it through communication, if I can solve it through negotiation, if I can solve it through compromise, and in a way that offers the potential of new allyship, new connections, new unity, right? I'll do that. But, like, those are my principles. Shit gets a little bit different when you bring my allies into the fold. You start to bring my allies into the fold, like, it starts to get a lot more dangerous for you. If you show that you're willing to hurt my people, like, immediately you jump to, rather than, like if you, once you show that you're willing to hurt my allies, it goes from my goal is to end the conflict to my goal is to force you to end the conflict, put you in a position where you have no choice but to cease aggression towards my allies. No choice. It's not about chances. It's not about none of that. You got powers, I want to take them away. You got weapons, I want to break them. Do you see what I'm saying? If you're willing to kill, that if you're willing to kill, as far as my character is concerned, that means you're willing to die. Right? And that would apply, my character would apply that to themselves. If I'm like, once I kill someone, I have to recognize it's like, okay, people might want to kill me now. If they didn't already, people might be after my head now because I took somebody else's. And it would probably be like some kind of like pivotal moment where it's like there's a difference between when you're fighting and you feel like, okay, like people could be after my head, but you know, I can kind of give people the benefit of the doubt, like, you know, these conflicts don't have to be lethal, etc., right? It becomes a little bit different once you know, okay, people actually are after my head for sure. And that moment of pivot could come from some kind of external situation. It could come from me witnessing the death of someone else. It could come from me just like killing someone for the first time. It could come from like or my character, I guess. I mean, the character is literally, it's just gonna be me. It's literally like, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. It's gonna be Tao. Tao's gonna be in the game with some powers. It's gonna be fine, right? But it's like when you're at Glass Cannon, there comes a certain point where you have to realize that other people see the cannon part and the glass part, and at a certain point, other people will want to break the cannon. You see what I'm saying? Some people might be after my head just as a form of disabling my cause, so that my cause can't cause, or you know, my whatever movement can't, you know, initiate conflict or obstacles against them. You see what I'm saying? The same way I might want to break someone's weapon, right? Someone might look at a system and then see me as the system's weapon and want to break me as a result. And that can be lethal. That can be lethal. I think I'm very much the kind of person where like if I lose everything, like the warpath can very much be self-destructive for me. Um, if the story unfolds in such a way where all my allies go down, like chances are high that I'm willing to make pretty sizable, pretty big sacrifices to increase my ability to destroy my opponent, my opposition, whatever. Um, and like it would take considerable work to kind of build back up the internal foundations necessary to reach a point that is relative to where I was before I lost all my allies. You see what I'm saying? Very much like Dark Phoenix energy. Definitely, this is something that I'm gonna have to talk to multiple people about, for sure. Combat philosophy, their combat, because there are a few individuals, like there are a few real human individuals whose personalities I want to represent in this game. I'm not the only one, and like this is like it's just like it's important for me to have this conversation with myself. and like log this down for characterization of the character that represents me, right? It's also going to be important for others. Mm. I guess moving forward from this point, I think that's a pretty solid layout of kind of mindset. Um, at the very least, at the very least, it's a solid framework and offers a really solid like point of reference. So like, I can, as I kind of work through story beats, I can be like, okay, how does this event compare to the framework that I've laid out thus far in terms of how I would respond to it combatively, right? I think I'm pretty solid for right now, at least. So now I want to talk about fighting style. How do I actually engage in combat? I think that it's important when I am in combat. There are multiple ways that I can go about this, but my actual like combat objective is to overwhelm my opponent, right? The idea is to overwhelm, disable, sabotage my opponent such that I can execute my maneuvers, my objectives, my attacks without issue, and basically delete their ability to defend is the idea. I think one thing that can be very powerful for this, the simple flash, you're blind. Like, if I have to spend a bunch of time and energy thinking about how to close the gap and do maximum damage, that's bad. That's bad for my combat style. So the distance game is hard, I guess. So one of two things is going to happen. Either I'm going to overwhelm you from a distance, or I'm going to have something in place that allows me to go from long range to close range without difficulty, or close range to long range. Like, the disengage is also important. But it's like, if you're like a big like mid-range fighter, That's probably not super good for me. Like, I do not want to get caught in someone's mid range. I like burst movement. And so being in someone's mid range, like, okay, let's think about like let's think about like what kinds of, I'm talking about sun powers. What do I want here, right? Obviously, sun powers. You got sunbeams. Very simple. Sunbeam, boom, gun, right? Uh, oh man. And like that'll be like my main kind of ranged thing, just linear ranged attacks. Like they probably come with like damage over time. Maybe it's the kind of thing where it's like I can choose to burn you, or I can choose to blind you from range, or I can choose to like channel a bunch of power into a really big like coronal mass ejection type shit, like just fucking blast you, solar flare, whatever. I feel like a solar flare is more like a close range move though, like maybe like I get up in your grill and I explode kind of thing. I feel like, how do I arrive at big damage? Either I channel it from a distance, like focus energy and channel it into big damage at a distance, or like get up close and personal. Get up close and personal. I don't have to channel it, or I don't have to focus it, rather. And I can just kind of blow up for the most part. Or maybe the focus is more minimal. Just like minimal, more minimal in general compared to the big kind of sniper thing, right? Because I think for sure, like, I'd be the glass cannon character, and then like my slow brother probably would be the all rounder character. I feel like that's definitely how we are in real life. Um, and I feel like because of that, we should be bad matchups for each other. It should be a volatile matchup. If my character and his character were to fight, it should be a volatile matchup. Like, I'm sitting there like, this fucking sucks, having to deal with his tool set powers, whatever. And then he should be over there, this fucking sucks, having to like be perfect about my combat, or else I just get blown up. Um, in terms of like mid range, I think my biggest tool in the mid range is like literally just movement. And the thing about mid range is this: it's like the problem with me being in mid range is I'm too far to consistently do big damage, but I'm too close to be able to focus energy long enough to do big damage. You see what I'm saying? It's just I'm under too much pressure. That's the problem with me being in mid range. I'm under too much pressure. And so like that's kind of like the fighting, but like how am I moving? You know what I mean? Like solar wind. Ah, there it is. There it is. Solar wind. Um if I am if okay. if I'm taking more from the Infamous games, like um kind of some kind of glider power up or whatever. Uh like I mean that's it. Like if I have some kind of glider or like flight power, it would be oh, it would just be called solar wind probably. Just propulsion, jet propulsion from my hands and feet most likely. Um let's see. And as far as like that's kind of like my main movement. And I get kind of acrobatic with it, basically. Acrobatics plus jet propulsion from my limbs. Boom. That's the main movement, and then the burst movement is like light beam teleport kind of thing, but it takes a second. Oh my god. Oh my god. It feels like there's a burp trapped, and it's bad. Whatever. Sunbeam teleport. Maybe I call it tachyon teleport. Ah, okay. Look, faster than light teleport. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I can't even lie. But like it takes a minute, right? I think for me, like I'm not the kind of because I'm a glass cannon. I'm not the kind of character that you want to stand still a whole lot. If you're standing still, you had best like you had better have things to guarantee your safety because glass cannon thing like I'll blow the fuck up if you're not careful. I want to fix this. A little bit of this. A little bit of this. Okay, cool. That'll work. So it's like you get the blind off, and it's like it's enough time for me to go like, boom, like focus in, boom, teleport, and then like maybe like some kind of finisher thing, some kind of big damage thing, like that's a fucking yellow jacket. Yo, my man, I'm gonna need you to get going. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. So my goal is to do burst damage. That like as a character in combat, my goal is to do burst damage. And like I have some options for sustained damage, but like if you're relying on them, you're probably gonna have more of a rough time than if you're not. Right? Okay, Yellow Jacket's gone. The air is getting way too hot in here, way too fast. That's not happening. I want to do burst damage. So the name of the game in combat is build myself opportunities to get burst damage in, whether it's from long range or from close. There might be some kind of limitation gameplay wise, like when in combat, when I'm in combat, like perhaps it's like on a character level, it's like I don't really want to try to teleport whilst I'm in combat. It takes too much focus. And this isn't even getting into like energy costs. I haven't even spoken about like up in any of these devlogs. I haven't even spoken about like energy system requirements. So like resources, like energy resources, right? The Tachyon teleport probably takes a pretty decent chunk of energy, right? And like that's a pretty good question. Where do I even get my energy from? That's a good question, right? Like in Infamous, you have to like go and you're a conduit. So in order to put your power out, you have to go and take it in at some point, right? If my power is the sun, there's a certain level of like passive generation for sure. Like maybe that's an upgrade, but there's definitely at some point a certain level of passive, like you just get energy back over time. Because my whole point is to do cool stuff, not to do basic stuff. I can do basic stuff, but if you're relying on just doing basic stuff, it's not gonna be the thing, right? I'm a specialist class. You see what I'm saying? Maybe it's just like I could totally see like why is this stuck? I don't understand. I could totally see a limitation like this, right? Kind of gameplay kind of has a lot going for it, right? But you remember earlier I said if you're me, you don't really want to be standing still a whole bunch. Problem. You own like your power is the sun. Release me. Oh my god. Your power is the sun. There's only so much that you're gonna like. Solar power only generates so fast. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, and so in order to gain your power back, instead of being like Infamous where you can move around, get to a source, suck it dry. Like move around, get to a power source, power up, and then keep moving. No. For me, it's something that you always have to be managing. You have to just stand in light and gain power that way. You either have to stand in light and gain power that way, passively while you're fighting, And so just don't stand in the dark, which gives like a pretty apparent weakness. I mean, hey, you pick a fight with a sun person. There's a pretty obvious weakness right there. Block out the sunlight, right? And like I'm not gonna implement. I don't think I'm gonna implement something that's like, oh, on cloudy days I'm less like this character is less powerful. You're still in the sun and like it's still daylight. You're still, you see what I'm saying? But like basically photosynthesis. Photosynthesis. That's the idea. Like, oh, you're in combat and you're running out of juice, and there's enemies pressing down on you and you need to move. Well, if you're getting low, you might want to use like, if you're in combat, you don't want like the character doesn't want to tack on teleport unless they have an opening, right? So it's probably like some kind of like you get the blind off, you get the stun off, and then you can teleport for the finisher on some Ash from Warframe type shit. But if you don't have a stun anywhere, if you don't have a finisher anywhere, you probably don't want to do it. It just takes too much energy. But they're probably like, you probably can trade your ability to generate energy for increased movement speed. So like you're using your thrusters, you're getting around, and it's like, ah, shit, enemies are still kind of gaining on me a little bit. I need to like get distance in fast. Okay, the energy that I'm gaining passively is now I'm now channeling that into my speed. You see what I'm saying? So you could do something like that. Well, hold on now. Cause I'm thinking about nighttime, and I'm like, so do I just not gain power at night? What if I gain a different power? Like, what if my boy is the Moon Man? I would expect his more powerful, like his higher output time to be when the moon is out. Kind of makes sense, right? So if I'm doing this kind of celestial thing for the both of us, this could be an interesting idea. But just as a side thing, maybe I spend some time considering sun powers in the morning or in the daytime, darkness powers in the nighttime, right? That could be something. That could definitely be something. Or I just do like, yo, this is the light and darkness sky, and you have light and darkness powers. I think that might be a little bit of a separate workshop. If I'm gonna do a darkness power kit, then I need to like think about an entire darkness power kit. But I would want it to mirror the light power kit. So maybe it's not necessarily sun, maybe it's light. I mean, I am talking about tachyons. Regardless, though, so increase speed for pausing your charge up. You stop moving for increased charge up. Like, and that's probably going to be a somewhat unique thing. Like, I imagine other people will probably be able to like move to their power source, pick it up, and then like absorb it like as they're moving. You see what I'm saying? Like in the Infamous games, no matter what no matter what conduit you're playing as, no matter what power you have to stop moving to charge up. And I don't think any of them have, other than Concrete. It's the only one that I think that you get passive charge for. And I think I can mix that up. I think I can make it so that like only high output characters or high output power sets have to stop moving to charge up. Or like burst output types have to stop moving to charge up. You see what I'm saying? Not necessarily high out. I mean, they're kind of all high output. You see what I'm saying? So, either keep them at a distance so you can pick them off, or debilitate them at a distance. Get up close and personal so you can explode them. Use your movement. Like, I want movement to be a very important skill for this character. Like, I mean, they're constantly like when you're playing the character that represents me, you're kind of constantly playing the distance game all the time. And your biggest obstacle is not gonna be like, okay, I'm in. Now I have to focus on doing damage. Nah, like, there are people for that where it's like, I have a bunch of tools to get in, and that's not necessarily that difficult. But now I need to focus on putting out, like, I need to focus to put out big damage now that I'm in. Or people who are like, okay, I have a bunch of tools to put distance between me and the opponent, and that's not necessarily that difficult. But then I have to focus to, maintain accuracy to get my big damage out. But nah, for my character, it's all about like the focus is in managing your distance, managing the distance between you and your opponent. And then just blowing them up at close range, blowing them up at long range. Like at long range, it's like the less you move, the easier it is to hit people, I suppose, right? But like, people are gonna catch on. Like, people have dealt with snipers before, right? And realistically, it's like, you're bright as fuck, and if you snipe a singular person, I mean, it's a giant ass fucking sunbeam that just put a hole in somebody. Like, enemies are gonna know where you're at. You see what I'm saying? Like it's not like you're gonna be concealing your presence a whole lot as a sniper. When you have light beams that you're shooting people with. You see what I'm saying? And so like, having access to like stealth, like the element of surprise is really good for me. And that's something that the character would keep in mind a lot. The element of surprise is extremely powerful for as like a win condition, right? Because like, I mean, what is the purpose of hitting people with a boom? You're blind. What is the purpose of that, right? It gives you an opportunity to charge up your attack. Basically, it gives you an opportunity to hit them with something powerful without them. Like, if my goal is to remove their ability to defend, right? My biggest fear is them removing my ability to attack, right? Logically. And it's a lot harder to do that when you can't see, right? It's also a lot harder to do that when you don't know where I am in general, right? Because if you can't see, the whole benefit of that is that you don't know where I am and you don't know how to block me. You see what I'm saying? So element of surprise will be very, very powerful. And I think it also could be a fun ability potentially to like mark a bunch of people at long distance, charge up, and then just blast all of them at once. But it's like it's not the like I feel like this kind of this kind of like ability concept, not like not never before seen, right? Deadeye in Red Dead Redemption 2 or Red Dead Redemption 1, I think too. I haven't played it. Like Ash's Blade Storm, like there's all across gaming. There's abilities where it's like even in Ghost of Tsushima, your multi-shot is basically this where it's like I actually think in Ghost of Tsushima, I think they actually funny it's still Sucker Punch. I think that's basically how I would want it to function. It's like you mark down your targets. Maybe you can like mark them down individually rather than so let me just do a little side by side here. In Ghost of Tsushima, when you have the spoilers, I guess, when you have the multi-shot, you know what? Fuck spoilers. I don't give a fuck. Look, if you hear me talking about Ghost, if you hear me talking about a piece of media, assume I'm gonna spoil it, right? If you want to go in blind, then go ahead and go in blind, okay? If you can't enjoy media just because you know something happens, like, and the element of surprise is not there, if the element of surprise is all that is there for you, you're not enjoying the media correctly, in my opinion. That's it, okay? That's it. So I'm going to be talking about a lot of games throughout these devlogs. Like, I'm going to be talking about a lot of gaming experiences that I've had. So I don't feel like doing spoiler disclaimers. You're on the internet. You know how this works. In Ghost of Tsushima, when you have the multi-shot ability, basically you aim, like you take aim, and like there's like basically big parentheses on the screen, and anybody within them can be marked down for your multi-shot, and then you charge it up and you shoot them, right? The way I would do it is like it could be that, or you could like kind of essentially like scope in. I mean, you have light powers. You can. We'll just say you have enhanced sight. I think that's fine. And maybe, hey, if we're talking about light powers and enhanced sight, that can get real interesting in terms of stealth. Maybe that's what I do with nighttime. We'll get to that. We will get to that. So, alternatively, you can scope in and mark them down while scoped in, up to whatever cap of the number of enemies, and then zoom back out, and then charge up, and then blast them. But it's like, again, it's really difficult. The idea is that it should be difficult once you, as a light powers person, start picking people off. It should be pretty difficult for people to not know where you are. Like, it should be difficult to maintain stealth whilst getting takedowns from stealth. Make sense? And I think that's like, I think kind of like, since I'm still in kind of the concept phase, I don't necessarily need to go super deep into like the specifics of the application here. But I think that once these things are kind of like more modeled out, like once I have an environment where I can like, where the abilities actually exist and can be used, right? I think it will be easier from there to iterate more on how the character thinks when like these are the abilities that they live with. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, I think that honestly, I think that covers it pretty well for the glass cannon character in this game, because I mean it is just going to be me. there's a pretty good chance that I will either have conversations with people off recording and then make a recording about it, or just record the conversations that I have with people about their power kits. I think both could be fun. So yeah, thanks for watching. I don't know, be cool, stay creative, express yourself, and remember that you're not valuable because you're rare. You're rare because you're valuable. Oh, that's a good one.